There she goes. All right. This is Shifting Paradigms. I'm your host, B. Michael. We are live, and we are going to move into our paradigmatic today of poetry paradigmatics. This is National Poetry Month, so we got a few guests here. We got one more coming in, having a little technical difficulties. But shifting paradigms, real quick. What we are about on shifting paradigms is stimulating critical thought in order to realistically redefine our narrative and positively reshape our reality through dialogue with self-determination. And so we have, like I said, some special guests, some very dear people in my life that I want to, allow to come on and introduce themselves before we get into our poetry paradigmatic for National Poetry Month. So I'm going to always defer to the Ima Hadassah, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, letting our audience and listeners know who you are, how poetry is a part of your life, on and on.
Okay. Jumbo, I'm Ima BB, artist, educator, writer. I'm here tonight to represent my husband, the late poet Amos Zubotan. And I will be reading some works from his book, Ain't No Spring Chicken. Okay. And I'm happy to be among you great people this evening.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you for being with us tonight, Ima.
You're welcome.
My brother Eric Stafford, it's on you.
So, born and raised here in Kansas City, Missouri. Went to Raytown South High School, then Penn Valley Community College, Lincoln University, and CMSU. Graduated with a degree in history. Came back, and now I'm a tour operator, I guess, or I'm a sole proprietor of the Kansas City Tour Company. So we offer regularly scheduled tours. You can go to our website, www.kansascitytourcompany.com. But I'm a historian. We do a tour on 18th and Vine called Bebop and Beyond 18th and Vine Walking Tour. We do two tours on the streetcar. Streetcar KC, a River City Civil Rights Tour, and Streetcar KC, a River City Mafia Tour. And my signature tour is the Kansas City Black History bus tour. So I've been doing that for the past 12 years. I've always been a poet. That's how I really got. That's what I really use to voice my feelings, I guess, and voice my thoughts. Originally, my criticisms, or whatever you may call them, but I've always wrote social justice pieces for the most part. And I started writing poetry even before I was giving tours, long before I was giving tours. So I started writing poetry probably in around, I guess, actually performing poetry in 1992. They had a Peace and Justice Summit here. It was a gang summit here in Kansas City in 1992. A Peace and Justice Summit organized by Jim Brown. He was one of the organizers. And the Crips and Bloods came to Kansas City and for a peace summit. And it was like around 1992. And I did some poetry at the Metro Tech High School. But I was doing poetry even before then. As well, but for a real long time, probably since the early 90s, myself and Glenn North, we were doing poetry out of his apartment on 27th and Harrison. So that was probably like around 1991 or something like that. But and then I kind of branched off into doing history tours. But I published a book of poems called Native Life in 1999. It was self-published. So, but you can't get it now. I don't sell it now. I may bring it back out, but I haven't done any poetry for a while, for a long time. I used to host open mics at the Mutual Musicians Foundation back in around 2000, and now I talk about that on my tour. That's where Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie met, and they created a new style of jazz called bebop, which was the type of music that Charlie Parker and Adam Clayton Powell and Martin Luther King were listening to when they were organizing boycotts and protesting back in the 50s and the 60s. They was listening to Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk and Miles Davis and John Coltrane. So, but yeah, so everything just comes around full circle. So thank you for having me on, and so I'm excited to kind of, dust off a little bit.
Oh yeah, you're gonna dust it off. It's like riding a bike. You know how you do. We got one more coming on this evening, but they're just running a little late, so we're gonna just kind of proceed. For me, poetry just came around my life about 97, but I've been writing pretty much since then. Hosted some poetry scenes. You Lit, of course, most famously, but the Spit, a couple other scenes that we've had here in Kansas City. But I want to jump right into it. I want to start with a poet from the Negritude movement. His name is Aimé Césaire. I'm not going to read any of my poems tonight. I just lost the doggone page. But the poet's name is Aimé Césaire. He's from Martinique. This is one of his collected works of poetry here.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Which historically has been used.
We got him now.
Okay. But poetry has been a very revolutionary, I would even say a weapon to really just inspire people for change. So the name of this poem by Aimé Césaire is called To Africa. He says, peasant, strike the ground with your daba. In the ground, there is an urgency with no syllable of the event, will or not. I reminisce about the memorable plague. There had been no forewarner star, only the earth in a pebbleless wave kneading out of space. A bread of grass and reclusion. Strike, peasant, strike. On the first day, the birds died. The second day, the fish beached. The third day, the animals came out of the woods and formed a big, very strong hot belt for the cities. Strike the ground with your daba. There is in the ground the map of transmutations and death's tricks. On the fourth day, the vegetation withered, and everything from the agave to the acacia turned bitter, becoming aigrettes, becoming vegetal organ pipes in which the thorny wind took off amidst flutes and trenchant odors. Strike, peasant, strike. In the sky, windows are being born. They are my spurted eyes. Their harrow in my chest forms the rampart of a city refusing access to the muleteers of despair. Famine and on your own, a surge, a heap where future anger risks salvation. Strike, anger. There is at the foot of our fairy castles for the rendezvous of blood and landscape, the ballroom in which dwarfs pointing their mirrors listen in the folds of stone or salt to the sex growing from the gaze. Peasant, so that the one wounded by the wind can emerge from the head of the mountain, so that a mouthful of bells can warm up in her throat, so that my wave can consume itself in her wave and bring us back on the sand as drowned ones, as the flesh of guavas torn, as a hand being sketched as beautiful seaweed, as aerial seed, as a bubble, as a recollection, as a precatory tree. Let your act be a wave that howls and regathers toward the hollow of cherished rocks, as if to perfect an island, rebelling against birth. There is in the ground the scruple of a tomorrow, and the burden of speech as well as silence. Peasant, the wind in which holes glide stops the distant hand of a dream around my face. Your field in its havoc explodes erect with deep sea monsters, which on no account will I push away. And my act is as pure as a forgetful brow. Strike, peasant, I am your son. At the hour of the setting sun, dust splashes under my eyelids, the yellowish green tepid with undozing iguanas. But the beautiful messenger, ostrich, suddenly born from the aroused forms of woman, beckons to me out of the future in friendship. To Africa by Aimé Césaire. Awesome. So we have our last guest this evening by the name of Candace Bitten. I wanted to go ahead and have you introduce yourself and talk about poetry in your life, and then since you're up, you'll be next to go, and then we'll just come around the corner.
Oh, wow. Is it my turn already?
Already,
Oh.
this is what happens when you're late.
My apologies. I had technical difficulties.
All good, all good.
Poetry in my life, poetry is life for me. I started writing poetry around 12 years old, and a great influence in my life in regards to poetry was my stepdad, Amos Bolton. He was the first to really challenge me to step outside of the box. I used to write about love a lot. And he said, you need to write a revolutionary poem. I wish I had that piece on me right now so I could do it for you. But I don't, and I'm not prepared. So I hope it's okay to pass.
We'll come back.
Because I was having technical difficulties and I need to find a poem on my website. I was actually prepared with a piece that's more prose than poetry. So if you guys want to hear that, I'd be happy to do that piece, and then we can come back around to poetry. Because I enjoy storytelling as well. So this is kind of, somewhat poetic storytelling.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. So this piece is called Miss Belief Tree. Okay. Miss Belief Tree was a whimsical woman who moved to the beat of her own drum, or so she thought. She'd been taught all the right moves to perform to the groove of almost any song. Miss Belief Tree was linked to all the lively networks in the city. She was pretty and connected. Her fruit was me too. She was smart, she was sassy, she was cool. Miss Belief Tree was nobody's fool. She had an answer for everything. Miss Belief Tree was the perfect place to sit in the shade. She could cover you while you pick from the stories of her past, all of her Me Too's. The fruit of her wisdom is like ripe strawberries in season. Her skeptical, leafy perspective shifts like the breeze, but it makes you all the more at ease at the feet of Miss Belief Tree. She serves you carefully crafted fruit salad served with a smile, knowing the value of the seed she conceals inside to fill the hollow hole at the heart of her existence. Miss Belief Tree never conceded a thing. She was the law of the land, and every day was spring. She would sprout words and even songs to sing that get people to dance to the rhythm of speculative things. Miss Belief Tree had no substance within. She was shallow and covered herself in the skins of other people's words, only reproducing what she heard. Miss Belief Tree would appear to be a nerd if you didn't know she collected the latest verbiage like herbage to get the most attention. One day, Mr. Promise Tree heard the tune she was singing and joyfully joined into the song that never ends. They both enjoy the winds that pass through to carry their words of fruit, but will never produce another tree if all they have is promise and belief.
Oh.
And that's that.
Miss Belief Tree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uma Hadassah, we're going to come around to you now.
Okay. I'm gonna probably, since she's brought up trees, I wasn't going to read this poem, but I guess I'm gonna give it a shot.
Awesome.
You can bear with me. Okay. This is Amos Zubotn's signature poem. It was the first poem that I read by Amos Zubotn. I met Amos Zubotn at Delgado Community College. I was a returning student and he was teaching English composition. I went to his office to meet him. It was suggested by the tutor in the English lab so that he could help me with a play I wanted to revise. And as soon as I walked into his office the first time, he handed me this poem. He said, "Would you read this for me?" And I read it and I was like, wow, this could be your signature poem, without me ever knowing this man and, reading any of his work. But anyway, he said it was a poem that he had written for his grandmother who had passed. However, like Candace, he'd been writing poetry since he was a child, and his grandmother, he told his grandmother he was sprouting, bragging, I'm a poet, I'm a poet. And she said, well, I mean, I haven't seen anything that you've written. I read poetry, So one day she received her subscription to Essence magazine, and inside that issue was a poem by Alma Zubotin. And she said, oh, so you really are a poet. Okay, write me a poem. And so he set out to write her a poem, but it didn't manifest until after she had passed. So this is a very special poem, and it is his most requested poem. It's an emotional piece, but I'm going to try my best to do it right. And it's called The Family Tree for Alice Marie Pittman McGee Taylor, Nanny, my grandmother. This old oak tree was born during slavery time, just like my grandmother's mother. This old oak knew my grandmother's life from glorious birth to jubilation, sad death, from life to afterlife. Through good times and hard times, through richer and poor and church and 18 children and a love big enough to smother them all. This old oak knew grandchildren and nieces and snotty-nosed nephews and strange children who just seemed to drop by the house and stayed. We all swung from the branches of that old oak tree and flew free for a moment through aeronautical Louisiana airspace and landed in Grandma's bosom. Old tree, old oak, where we planted our first protest march. We gonna meet at the tree, Russell told me, pass it on. We gonna meet at the tree, I told Carl Ray, pass it on and on and on. 13 teenagers planning to change the world. 13 young men caught up in the fire of their times. Pass it on, said Bully Ali, and the only grown-up present was the old oak tree. Old oak, old landmark tree, giving us cool shade in the summer of our public revolutions, giving us roots for our private revelations. This tree is my grandmother's burial ground, an oaken tombstone reaching for sky. I built my first tree house in that old oak, stole my first kiss, carved my name in the bark of that tree, and it faded with sun and rain and years transformed from colored to Negro to Black, African-American years that disrobed before us, baptized us with history's shadow and family stories. So when the white men came asking, no, demanding that grandma cut down her tree, because it interfered with their telephone wires, told her to cut down our playground, what Blackjack called our Watusi nest of Shango, demanded that grandma cut down our totem pole street tree, our family tree, cut off a piece of Black children growing up, chop off our history. Grandma looked them up and down. We all stood on the porch, raised a fist in our pockets and 2, 3 tornadoes on our breath. My quivering lips wanted to holler. My jungle blood was in a fever. The earthquake in my heart wasn't masquerading. Not this day, not with grandma out there, not when she got her dentures in and standing there looking them young white fools up and down. But just when we were gonna tack them crackers, my grandma, who done cleaned more white folks' kitchen than you can shake a stick at, grandma who wet nursed their young'uns, grandma who knew all the ghosts in their closets, grandma puckered up her lips and spit a big wad of snuff juice at their feet. The white men looked at their shoes and then at grandma. She smiled a sad smile and said quietly, no. The words must have echoed and thundered in their ears because the little color they had drained from their faces. Now, Alice, one of them said with yesteryears on his tongue, Alice, it's the law and you knows you gotta obey it. With that, I screamed, don't you talk to my grandma that way and don't you call her by her familiar name. And I started off the porch till Russell grabbed me by the arm and Robert Earl had me by the leg. Grandma turned and looked at me and smiled again. Hush, Junior, she said. Be still. Mr. James here didn't mean no harm. He knows me, knows when I says something, I means it. And then she turned back to the white men. Now, you all just run along now and go tell your boss that this tree was here long before them telephone wires. This here tree was born during slavery time. This tree grew tall during Reconstruction, stood tall as white men and white sheets rode by with blood on their lips and evil in their pants. This tree endured hurricanes and long summer heat waves. It babysat my children, locked its roots deep down in the black earth and endured. So yes, sir, Mr. James, sir, this tree was born during slavery times, but it's free now. And as long as it's standing on my land, it can shake its leaves and spread its wings any way it damn well please. Now you go tell that Miss Alice Marie Pittman McGee Taylor says to pass it on. Pass it on and on and on.
Pass it on,
Right.
pass it on. Wow. Thank you, Iman.
Yeah.
East Staff is on you, my brother.
Amos is a Mississippian. Amos was
Okay.
a Mississippian who grew up during the Black Arts Movement.
Okay, okay. Powerful. Now we do have real quick. We got mother and daughter here. Iman Hadassah is of course Candace's mother, so that's a very powerful.
I am.
duo here.
Oh, okay. Good meeting you all.
Yeah, same here.
Same here.
Okay, great.
On you,
Say some
E.
poetry.
All right. Well, soon I'll be done with the troubles of the world. The troubles of the world, soon there be no need to despair or fear to pack a pistol for power and security. Soon I'll have not to worry about money. My car being harassed by the law, see, tired of my dreams and ambitions of a better day. And one day I'll be done, a day will come when all of God's black, of different walk and doctrine will awaken to see that we are all the same. Be us have or have not, and let us not hide oppression through diversity. See, all of us and want should understand that the system allows for some to have while others still have not, as to secure order in capital. So soon shall we fight. Power is the people, black and bold, surviving and beautiful, capable of change. The west side of Africa, from which we came to understand the circumstances, greed, laziness, ignorance that brought us here to decay, be overworked, raped, and terrorized, lynched with forced illiteracy. These things must be placed in the banks of our memory and drawn on for strength to change. So to teach our children is to secure a future. God means for us to learn from past happenings. So now let us read. To be critical, analytical, mathematical black is the father of earth, air, land, and sea, and all there was to be. But in times today, I must say with wonder, from time to time I do about people of mine, lost to the confused, disturbed, and used. It's hard to see in history how masters us were we to religion, science, law, mathematics, and philosophy. Because look how we act, mistreat, and slander one another. Our youth seem as if they fail to value their lives. To them, it is nothing to put their life on the line for a jacket or a stepped on shoe. Now is the time for us to redirect and to channel those energies into forces to end oppression.
Yes. Yes.
Bam, blam, blam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Great,
wrote
great,
that,
great.
that was a long time. That a long time.
Hey,
that
the
was
thing
like-
about poetry, it's timeless.
It is timeless. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that is. So let's see. I can
We're
do
gonna
one
go
more.
around. We're
Yeah,
gonna
just
go
come back
the
around.
ring.
Yeah, go around.
We'll go around the ring. But I want to thank you all again. This is Shifting Paradigms. I'm your host, B. Michael. We got Iman Hadassah, we got Candace Bitten, we got Eric Stafford here. And this is National Poetry Month, so this is all about poetry paradigmatics. And we're just going around this little horn, sharing some poetry. The first one I did was from Aimé Césaire. He was from the Negritude movement. I'm gonna share one from the Harlem Renaissance. This is the poet by the name of Melvin B. Tolson. He's from Moberly, Missouri.
Yes,
right?
he is.
He is the protagonist of the movie The Great Debaters.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So he was also a very profound poet. And this is one of his poems called A Song for Myself.
And you know what? He also went to Lincoln High School too, class of 1918.
Powerful. Right
Yeah,
here in
Lincoln,
Kansas City.
yeah, 1835 Tracy. I got a picture of him in the yearbook.
Melvin B. Tolson.
Yeah, Melvin B. Tolson. He grew up in he's from Independence, Missouri as well. He lived in Independence, Missouri.
Okay.
Went to Lincoln High School, and he worked in the packing houses in the West Bottoms. But yeah, he's the class of 1918 Lincoln High School.
Wow.
Yeah.
A historian in the a historian
That on it. I'm telling you. He is
historian
on
among us. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's yeah, I have a company, a history company.
So this is a poem called A Song for Myself from the Harlem Gallery and Other Poems of Melvin B. Tolson. He says, I judge myself eagle, normal. A man is what he says from rot. The corn will fat a hog or rat. Are these dry bones a hut or throne? Who filled the moat twixt sheep and goat? Let death, the twin of life, slip in. Prophets arise, mask hid, unwise, divide the earth by class and birth. Caesars without the people shall rout. Caesars within, crushed flat is tin. Who makes the noose, envies the goose? Who digs a pit, dices for it? Shall tears be shed for those whose bread is thieved headlong? Tears right, no wrong. Prophets shall teach the meek to reach. Leave not to guide the boot and rod. The straight lines curve, failure of nerve, blind spots assail, times have their braille. If hue of skin trademark a sin, blame not the make for God's mistake. Since flesh and bone, torn dust and stone, with life so brief, why add to grief? I sift the chaff from wheat and laugh. No curse can stop the tick of clock. Those who wall in themselves and grin commit incest and spawn a pest. What's writ in vice is writ in nice. The truth is not of fruits that rot. A sponge, the mind, soaks in the kind of stuff that fate's milieux dictates. Jesus, Mozart, Shakespeare, Descartes, Lenin, Cialdini have lodged with me. I snatch from hooks the meat of books. I seek frontiers, not worlds on beers. The snake in toils, the pig with coils. The pig skewed wall, well, does not prevail. Old men grow worse with prayer or curse. Their staffs thwack, youth starve thin for truth. Today the few yield poets their due. Tomorrow the mass judgment shall pass. I harbor one fear if death crouch near. Does my creed span the gulf of man? And when I go, in calm or blow, from mice and men, say lie, what then? A Song for Myself by Melvin B. Tolson.
Yes.
Candace been
Yeah.
Debater.
So me,
It's
Yes.
on you. It's
Okay.
on you.
On you, Cassie.
okay, so I am going to do a piece called Independence Day. And this piece is about America, as well as the America in us that values life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, but may struggle to live up to the standard of true freedom in righteousness and truth. So whether your station is in America or abroad, the way to freedom is love. So this is my piece. America. She rocked her hips, dipped in her ships, across oceans and borders, sent her explorers to hoard us on ships beyond the doors of no return. America was bad. She was a fad, something to be had. She sold freedom, but she needed them, blessed by the Creator, stole God's creation of emancipation, the birth of a plantation, condemnation of a nation. America was fat. She's a brick house. She's mighty, just letting it all hang out. She had no shame. She played the game, shackles and chains, money and fame. Freedom was her claim. If she could, she'd do it again. Rob the earth of soul, America's gold. What a sight to behold. America was a breeder. Labor was the only way to freedom, but she needed them. She was bad. For her own health, wealth is her belt, and ass whipping is the price on the shelf. America loves money. Like a queen bee loves honey, her colony was buzzing, hot to trot cousins looking for loving, say it ain't fun if the homies can't have none. America was the land of the free. Spirited, speeches and religions founded in superstition, freedom and unity with a few pieces missing, blood on the leaves of trees. America asked and she received grace. To birth a nation that believes this is the land of the free. The gateway to God is through me. America got down on one knee and proposed holy matrimony, promised to keep God before me. America doesn't play by the rules. So freedom is a choice to move. Exodus. America and her abuse played you like a flute, made you call a truce. America mind you, gave you the blues, set you free and said you choose. Liberation or integration with no papers, America can be so cruel. No 40 acres and a mule, America took you for a fool, taking more than her due. America, how your ways have deceived you. A house divided, mastermind, no spirit behind it. Seek and you shall find it. She can still attract anyone living in lack and lure them with stacks of new ports and resorts, milking the source for fame. America was a no-name bastard. Anyone could have her if they passport. America boasts, eyes free, these niggas work for me. Emancipation only expands the plantation, industrial prison systems, integration. Freedom keeps escaping them. Sold their souls paper thin, liberation chasing, breaking the foundation of this wicked nation. Destroy the law, tear down the courts. America, we want a divorce. Taking back my soul, it's Independence Day. I come to slay and I let love lead the way.
Okay.
That's Independence Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Snaps. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hadassah, it's on you again.
Okay. Switch it up here. I'm gonna read something for those in love, those falling in love. Refinding love. Amos wrote a series of poems called Moments, and they were all dedicated to me. He wrote them for me and about me. And he was also an avid baseball fan. So he just merged the two and created this poem called Moments World Series. I slide into second base. You wrap me around your finger so many times, you finally realize I'm too old to be tied up. I don't play the field anymore. I only come up to bat to please you. Even if I fail, I won't strike out. I eye the pitcher through the sunlight of your smile. The curveball, like your hips, take forever to reach me. But now that I've found you, now that I carry a snapshot of your spirit in my wallet, I will swing my bat with wisdom and caution, chase my rainbow around your bases, tip my hat to the crowd, look for praise in your eyes, and still be your best fan club.
Okay, that's a good metaphor there. That's all metaphor. Okay.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it was cute. The death cycle. That child talked so cold to her parents, I cringed. At first, but now the child is out of control, and the mother has no answers, doing whatever she wants. This adolescent knows no boundaries. Dance is so nasty. Sleeps with a perverted old man and brags, oh, my man is picking me up from school in his Acura. And we're going back to his crib to get high and drink Alizé. Naive to the fact that she is at high risk for AIDS. Class is so far away in the mind
Mm.
of the troubled youth. She feels as though she's doing the school a favor by coming. One day she told the principal a third-hour teacher was looking at her butt, but no one believed her because she lied so much. At some point in her life, she was informed and received the impression that everybody owes her something. Hot mama, running away from home, gone on 3 or 4 days, not thinking of the dangers that lay ahead, or her single mother who sits alone at home and worries, oh, running free, running free, running free. No responsibilities, running free to danger. The death cycle continues, but at first it was cute how she wore tight clothes at an early age, creating rage and lust for perversions amongst the males. She grew up too fast. She was the height of the delinquents and bums who were up to no good, a segment of the population lost in the system, young black males. Sex pot sizzling. Overdeveloped, irresponsible is bringing babies into the world. The death cycle continues, but at first it was cute how she liked to talk cold to her boss, but she grew up one day and realized she couldn't talk cold to her boss and continue to work. She lost her job and had no man with a kid to feed. By the time she realized and learned, it was too late.
Hmm.
Her daughter thought it was cute as well. She slept with 30-year-old men and skipped school too. She thought she was cute and everybody else was tripping. The death cycle continues.
Mm.
Oh,
My goodness,
yes.
man. That makes me want to do a piece called "Little Nappy Head Ninja."
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
It
don't
makes
do
me
that
wanna-
one.
Nah, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna go to our generation because I want to do a poem by Saul Williams. Okay,
Okay, yeah.
I definitely want to do something with him. This one is called Saul Williams is more of a contemporary poet extraordinaire, just a phenomenal artist and wordsmith. So this is a poem from his book, The Dead MC Scrolls. It's not his most recent, but it was one of his most prolific books. This name of the poem again is called He says, through meditation, I program my heart to break beats and human bass lines on exaltation. Ba boom boom I burn 7-day candles that melt into 12-inch circles on my mantle and spin funk like myrrh. Ba boom boom and I can fade worlds in and out with my mixing patterns, letting the earth spin as I blend in Saturn. Ninjas be like spinning windmills, braiding hair, locking, popping as the sonic force of the soul keeps the planets rocking. The beat don't stop when soulless matter flows into the cosmos trying to be stars. The beat don't stop when Earth sends out satellites to spy on Saturnites and control Mars. Cause ninjas got a peace treaty with Martians and we be keeping them up to date through sacred gibberish like show enough and its own. The beat goes on, the beat goes on, the beat goes on, ba-boom, boom. And I roam through the streets of downtown Venus trying to auction off monuments of a cyber-severed penis, but they don't want no penis in Venus, for androgynous cosmology sets their spirits free. And they neither men nor women be, but they be down with the billion ninjas who have yet to see that interplanetary truth is androgynous. And they be sending us shout outs through shooting stars. And ninjas be like, what up? And talking Mars, because we are solar. And regardless of how far we roam from home, the universe remains our center like, ba-boom, boom, I am no earthling. I drink moonshine on Mars and mistake meteors for stars because I can't hold my liquor, but I can hold my breath and ascend like wind to the black hole and play galaxophones on the fire escape of your soul, blowing tunes through lunar wombs, impregnating stars, giving birth to suns that darken the skins that skin our drums. And we be beating infinity over sacred hums, spinning funk like myrrh until Jesus comes. And Jesus comes every time we drum. And the moon drips blood and eclipses the sun. And out of the darkness comes the ba-boom boom. And out of darkness comes the ba-boom boom. And out of darkness comes the ba-boom boom.
Yes.
Saul Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites of our generation. What's he doing now? Is he still? I don't watch a
He's
lot of
making
TV.
music. He's
Oh, okay.
making. He got some albums that are pretty cold. He really has. They're very alternative though. His sound is very like just surreal. He got a
Okay.
very sound.
I'm gonna have to check him out. So he's not doing poetry no more. He's just doing music.
I mean, it's poetic still. It's art.
Oh,
You
okay.
know. But we got about 15 minutes, so I'm thinking these next three can get it done. So we got Candace, Iman, Hadassah, E-Staff, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Candace.
And dance.
Okay, I have a short piece. It's another original piece called Shining. Not forsaking the lessons this time. We put matter and mind in sync. We don't blink at the chance to dance with life. Too seasoned to simmer in strife. Too wise to pick what's not right. You can't believe the hype. For you, I just might. Change all the rules of life. Make all my wrongs right. Ship tight and anchor down. I remember the time. Do you remember the times when we were in love? Forgetting is like falling stars. Love's rewards lost in the dark. But if we spark truth with proof that love doesn't lose, the sky lights up, sunshine and blues.
Mm.
Oh,
Is that?
okay. Thank you, Cass.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Iman, Hadassah.
Yeah, I have a little short one here. I have, I've changed my diet over the years. I finally landed as a vegan. So I thought,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a work in progress for many, many years, many variations of it, but now I'm pretty set now. But anyway, I'm going to read this poem because I think it's cute. It's called Vegetarian Blues. Shove meat in my face. This meal is the most human thing I do. Flesh cooked to taste like hunger. There's a killing being done. We got more folk than we can feed. I eat down to this bone and still starve, and it's killing me. There's a killing being done in ribs and barbecue. I don't want to, but pass the salt.
Okay. Okay.
Was that one of Thomas's pieces?
Yeah.
Of course.
Amos was an associate director at Founders Library and Howard University. And he, Amos encountered a lot of people. He was a publisher. He published many well-known poets before they became well-known, such as Alice Walker and Sonia Sanchez. And he published Terry McMillan's first work, to be honest. So after Burt Miller, when he spoke at the festival in Amos's honor after he passed, he said, it would be unjust if you would study someone like Amir Baraka, Sonia Sanchez, or any of those very well-known poets before you study Amos Zubotun, because Amos Zubotun published all of these people, and they were even editors on his magazine called Hoodoo back in the 60s and the 70s. So he was a very significant poet during the and publisher during the Black Arts movement.
Mm-hmm. He was also a professor at the University of Missouri, Columbia, correct?
He was one of the students to integrate LSU. He was Tulane University's first writer in residence. As I said, he was the associate director of the Resource Center at Howard University. He taught at Delgado College, Xavier University, and his last teaching position was at the University of Missouri. That's where we moved to. So he, just very, very prolific. He's published in hundreds of magazines, anthologies, and journals. So Amos Zubotun is, as a matter of fact, I received a notification recently that some of his work is posted in the city of Houston, Texas, because he did work there. So you can go to Houston, Texas and see a plaque with Amos's poet in the communities, because we thought his life and his work was important enough to display, in the community, so children can walk by and read a poem by Amos Zubulton.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing this work, Iman.
Yes.
Indeed.
Thank you.
E-Staff, what you got, my brother?
Hey, glorified sharecropper on payday sing the blues. They know, but act as if they don't. Spin a line trying to race place blame on us as we proceed to analyze the past. Document the event transpired to bring our account current. We pull the race card out for that which is old. Forgive and forget, we shall not. The deeds of your ancestors will forever haunt your imperial nation, your imperial pleasure, not free. All nations bow down for the meek to inherit. I top cotton, but Master got to pay. Everybody else got more than me. Made manifest scriptures, prophecies. Bound to a time clock, bound to land. Rebel camp together, prays, reads, meditates, calculates, moves for the night. When it falls, to conceal their plans to be free. Feel the terror, hear the crush of fallen leaf as they make way to wade in swamp water, then rush to the woods on a fast run from the dog, axe, whip, gun, or rope. Still away, still away, still away home. Still away, still away, still away home. Come back to self, made manifest scriptures, prophecies.
Yes.
Powerful.
LOA.
That's King Cotton right there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just an excerpt from it.
Yes.
I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't done poetry probably over, maybe time goes so fast. Probably, over about
5 years.
Well, it's been longer than that. Let me think.
It's been longer than 5?
Yeah. Probably
Wow.
about 10 years. Seems like 10. No, maybe not 10. Probably about since I started doing tours professionally, I stopped really doing poetry. As far as performing it and stuff, like, I might do it in a car or something, but not for people. So a lot of the poems I haven't done in a long time. So, but yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's poetry.
Thank you for
poetry,
coming on.
Poetry month.
Yeah.
And they still have poetry sessions going on now.
Yeah, they do.
I guess it's one a night on 18th and Vine.
Yeah, that's soul sessions. Yeah, soul sessions tonight. Thursday night they got a couple of sets too. One at the Corner Cafe and then one down the Parlor. So there's some things going on in the city still, no doubt.
Okay,
I want to share one last piece and then we can wrap it up. This is
Okay.
the piece I wrote when on the phone with Candace. It's actually inspired by her. The name of the poem is called I Found Love. And so it just came. It was so crazy how it came because I was actually on the phone writing and we was just kind of bugging. So it was one of them deep moving poems. It was just like, wow, when words come, they just come. So it's called I Found Love.
Okay.
It says, in principle, what endures and remains true is the essence of reality. And what defines reality is love, the standard of life. But within the scope of love, there is nothing that is not found within the heart. And within the heart, there is all that is to be, which is revealed in the light. And it is in the light where you are able to see the truth of what is. For what is, has been since when was why, and how was what, and where was within. And it is there where all is one with itself, and this is love. An untapped source of pure power resonating at rates beyond the speed of thought, where time is subject to its whims like limbs to cerebellum, achieving oneness in rhythmic kinesthetic motion, which is the movement of love. And love moves like the waves of the ocean, carrying energy with each pulsation from one heart to another, as love has the power to transform wife to mother, create both sister and brother. It even gives the desire to take care of one another for better and for worse, because love is what extends you with the ability to traverse across the entire universe into the farthest depths of giving. For love is giving. and to give is to love. And loving to give is the clearest demonstration of what is within, which intends to present others with an offering without rival. Because how what is given demonstrates your full devotion. And when principle governs emotion, then reason becomes the notion that gives love meaning. And meaning brings to life purpose, which makes it clear that the purpose of life is nothing less than to give, receive, and be love.
Love.
That's it.
Thank you.
Hey,
Love.
That's what's up.
Oh,
National
yeah.
Poetry Month. That's awesome. So we got just a couple more minutes. Go around. Let's go around real quick. We'll start with we'll go in the reverse order. Eric, Ema, Candace, who has been a poet that has inspired you, you know, throughout your life? What poet has most inspired you in your life, and why?
well,
Like a minute.
I mean,
Like a minute.
okay, like as far I can't say like one poet, so I would have to miss at least three or four. So I'm gonna say Maurice Copeland, Lloyd Daniel, primarily those two. You know, as far as bringing me up, and that's kind of, you know, is you know, that's pretty much who introduced me into social consciousness. So like Maurice Copeland, he had a magazine called the Drum, and so he gave me the first opportunity to publish a piece, and then Lloyd Daniel gave me plenty of opportunities as well, and you know, I would go and sit at his office and everything and talk to him, and you know, so probably those two people starting off, so providing my foundation. Indeed.
Ema, who's inspired you?
Oh, wow. Like Eric, so many, you know, but Maya is kind of at the top of the list for me. And of course, Amos and Candace. I've also been inspired by the poet Candace. And yeah, and my two Mwanas poets, Charles White, Michael Long. Okay, I have a lot of energy in my family.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by a lot of energy, poetic energy in my family. Yes.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Candace, who you got?
I mean, I have to go with you, B. Michael Long, because I have written more poetry inspired by you than anyone else. Like if we're talking inspirations and just pure raw content, like hands down. Hands down.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll definitely say that as well. Candace has inspired me to write plenty of poetry. But the two who really started me off was William Blake. He's an English poet. His poetry was just mad. And then Amiri Baraka, aka Leroy Jones. Those two have really inspired me. So that's really what National Poetry Month for me and poetry has done for me. And it's just been a beautiful journey of, you know, poetic, just life expression. So man, I want to thank you all again for being on Shifting Paradigms. We'll be back in about 2 weeks. East Ave, you can check him out, KC Tour Company. Candace Bitten, A Life Made in Heaven. You can check her blog out. She got some other things going on. Ema Hadassah, just man, all praise to the Most High for you, Ema Hadassah. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Baba G, thank you for keeping us up, holding it down. Always the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, all the things you all do. Man, thank you all. Thank you to our listeners. Have a great night. Again, happy National Poetry Month. Peace and power, peace and blessings. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Peace to all.
Peace.